Developing a community of support is essentially important for student athletes in order for them to navigate their athletic and academic commitments successfully. The NCAA report of the 480,000 college athletes currently enrolled in college sports, only about 1.6% of them will pursue a career at the professional ranks or the Olympic level. It's Eric Gerbens' job as the Assistant Director of Student Athlete Support Services at Eastern Michigan University to put together a pathway to victory for his students who go pro in something other than sports. Following the conclusion of their collegiate playing days, Gerbin says he also loves his job because he also gets the chance to put together a strategic plan of action for those athletes who want to pursue an athletic career outside the walls of their college environment. He joined me this week to discuss the important role he plays in developing relationships with the athletes of the Eagles in order for them to fly both in life and in sports. I'm Kevin McShann, and let's have this conversation. Hey Eric, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to talk to you this morning about all the great work you do in athletic student development at Eastern Michigan University.
All right.
Great to be with you this morning, and thank you so very much for being here.
Yeah, happy Monday to you too. It's great to be here speaking with you.
Eric, I'm curious if we can start today's conversation by you telling me what's the best part of your job and the impact that you make in the lives of student athletes over there at Eastern.
Yeah, I would say the best part of my job is working one-on-one with my student athletes and watching them grow and develop throughout their college years and helping them reach their goals and aspirations and really seeing them grow personally, emotionally, from their freshman year all the way to senior year and the graduation.
And tell me, how important is it to you to build a personal relationship and trust with the athletes you serve in order for them to maximize their fullest potential?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So personal relationships are the thing I strive for most in terms of developing rapport with my athletes. So that means going to their athletic competitions. It means going to their graduation parties. It means checking in on them. It means getting to know their parents, their families, and really letting them know that I care about them more than just an athlete, but as a person. And I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to, um, how many events I've been to outside of athletics, outside of academics, because we've really gotten to know these student athletes over 4 years from the time they leave high school to the time they graduate. So I love that part of my job, getting to know these athletes on a personal level.
And tell me, I know that athletes today have to manage both the academic and athletic commitments like never before. So, how do you help them um, build that balance and make sure that they have a successful structure as they go through their academic and athletic career at
Yeah,
Eastern.
so that's a great point, Kevin. So they are really balancing two full-time jobs. One is an athlete and one is a student. And they almost both require 24/7 attention. So we kind of act as the Lagura balance between athletics and academics to make sure they have the proper resources to be successful. So I meet with each one of my student athletes at least once a week. In my office, I have a copy of their syllabi. So I know their exam dates, their paper dates, their homework dates, how much reading they have to do. And really, just like when they go to a practice, their coach has a practice plan for them that's laid out minute by minute. We make a schedule for them that's laid out day by day, hour by hour for their academics. So they know exactly what they need to do over the weekend. They know what they need to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and for the rest of the week. So we really knock it down in terms of, hey, you need to be in study table for an hour on Monday. You need to go to professor office hours on Tuesday. You need to go to your study group on Wednesday. If they have 100 pages of reading they need to do over the course of the week, we divide it down and say, hey, do 20 pages on Monday, do 20 pages on Tuesday, so forth and so on. So we really balance and navigate what's in their syllabi, their class expectations, and really try to break it down as much as possible day by day for them throughout the course of the semester.
Absolutely. I live my life by a philosophy of if it's not on my schedule, I don't do it. Eric. So
No question.
Concur. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too. I think in this new Zoom age, we're so used to looking at our iPhone calendars nowadays and finding out when is our next Zoom meeting, when's our next class meeting. And before, I don't think student athletes and people in general really looked at their calendars all that much. But I think in this new age of telecommunication and virtual meetings, I think we're all looking at our calendars much more closely. So this will definitely translate and help student athletes prioritize their schedules going forward.
Yeah, and since you brought the advantages of technology up, I'm curious if it has any advantages in terms of quickly communicating with your student athletes if you can't meet with them one-on-one because of COVID or other scheduling restrictions.
Yeah, sure. So I don't think there's been actually that much change in terms of my ability to communicate with my student athletes since the pandemic. In fact, I think it's gotten better. Because we found out so many different ways that we communicate without meeting in person. So like you said, that's over Zoom, over GChat via email, FaceTiming, talking on Twitter, talking on the phone normally, whatever it is. There's just so many different ways to communicate now and instantaneously get a hold of me, and for me to get a hold of my students, and for students to get a hold of their coaches, and to get a hold of their professors. So I think it's actually been a blessing in disguise, really, the amount of communication I'm able to do with my student athletes, because it's not just something for them coming to my office to communicate with me. Now it's almost, I can talk to them whenever I want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that today's student athletes have to deal with a lot of outside pressure, whether it be through social media, what's going on in the news from a social justice campaign, and just having a high profile on campus as an athlete. So I'm curious to ask you, how do you help them sort of navigate all of the outside noise or circumstances they have to deal with today?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So they'll come and talk to me about issues on campus, issues outside of campus, how to handle certain situations, how to be an advocate on campus. And I think Eastern does a really great job providing resources for students to get involved, whether it's the MLK Day Walk, MLK Day Symposium, other social justice issues, and other issues that relate to substance abuse on campus, depression, whatever it is. So there's always an open forum, an open platform for student athletes to get involved as much as they want to on campus. And of course, we have a great media relations team at Eastern. So there's 3 full-time staff on that team, communications team, to help our student athletes navigate media requests and all those other things that I just spoke about.
And Eric, as you know, most student athletes will go pro in something other than sports. So for those athletes that don't continue their athletic career on the professional level outside of college, can you tell me how do you help them build an academic and life or transition plan for success?
Yeah, so right from the freshman year, we have resume workshops, we have LinkedIn workshops, we have career fairs, we have great career advising on campus that we do encourage our student athletes to attend. And it's never about having a backup plan to becoming a professional athlete. It's having two plans: one, to become a professional athlete if that's the avenue they want to go in, but also having a plan for their professional career outside of athletics. And so that's something that we always talk about from the very beginning of their freshman year, and finding out what their passions are and what their skills are outside of athletics, and really helping them and guiding them down that path.
And I'm curious, Eric, to ask you about success stories that stick out for you while you've been over there at Eastern, about students that you've had the most profound impact on, or students that have had the most impact on
Yeah,
you.
you're absolutely right. So it is a learning experience, not only from me to them, but from them to me. And not a day goes by where I don't learn something new from my student athletes in terms of background or how to manage time, or things or key resources that will be really helpful for my student athletes in the future that I can help them with, that I learned from my student athletes. But it's sometimes the small things that come to my mind when I work with a student athlete and I look back on my time with them. I can remember so many kids coming in here, not knowing how to read a syllabus, not knowing how to use Canvas, which is the online platform that we use here at Eastern to study for their classes. And really, like I said, so I meet with my students once a week, but there are some student athletes throughout their years, I don't have to do that anymore because they're doing it on their own. And I can't tell you how many students who I used to meet with in terms of organizing their classes, organizing their syllabi, who I don't need to do that anymore, because now they come to me and say, hey, Eric, that one lesson you taught me how to study for an exam or a test, now I do that on my own. And here's my notes, here's my workbook, here's what I'm working on that you taught me how to do. So I think it's those small things that always affect me day by day. Or it's the emails or letters that I get from my graduates that say, hey, Eric, you really helped me in this situation. You may not have known it at the time, but that little thing that you said to encourage me, that made all the difference in the world. And I can't tell you, over a decade of doing this job, how many of those notes I've received over my time. And it's so gratifying to have those notes come into me.
Yeah, Eric, I want to commend you for the great work that you've done in the space. And I'm curious to know, once you retire, what sort of, how you want your student athletes to remember you by, and what sort of a legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So I always refer to myself as the person behind the person. And I take lessons from my grandfather. So my grandfather's an immigrant and, had no skills, no abilities, no money. And he became a janitor actually at my elementary school. And so I like to say that my grandfather made that school run, because if it wasn't for him cleaning the floors, taking out the trash, vacuuming, doing all those things that a janitor does, there's no way that school operates. So he was kind of the unsung hero of that school, and I idolized the man, even though he was just a janitor. But he really made that school run. He made a difference in the lives of the teachers, the administrators, and the students. And I like to say I do the same thing, but instead of cleaning the building, I help people develop and grow. So I want people to look back on me and say, hey, Eric really cared about me. He was effective in terms of telling me the right information. He guided me to the right resources. But more importantly, he just really cared about me and wanted me to succeed.
Absolutely. And if for any athlete that may be watching this, that may want to be connected with Eastern, what's the best way they can connect with you if they have any questions, or with the university's athletic department in general?
Yeah, so we have a great website. It's emueagles.com. Once again, that's emueagles.com. Our general university webpage is emich.edu. And anybody can reach out to me at egerbens@emich.edu. And if they want to talk about Eastern or this profession or becoming a student athlete, they can reach out to me in my email anytime they wish.
Fantastic, Eric. I really want to commend you for the great work that you've done in the area of athletic student development, and for your time and expertise this morning, and for joining me today. It's most appreciated.
Of course, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an awesome conversation.